Hi readers, welcome back to my channel, Lila Wanders and Reads. Lee here, and welcome to my weekend books. And this is going to be a short weekend books because I've only read 2 books this week. Well, technically I haven't finished the second one, but I've got 1 chapter left, so I'll finish it this evening. Anywho, it wasn't that this was a slow reading week, it was that these books took longer than normal, both of these, to finish. The first one that I read was All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker. And here's what I'll say. This is the blurb. In Montclair, Missouri in 1975, Patch, a poor boy from the wrong side of town, emerges as a local hero after saving the life of a wealthy family's daughter. In doing so, he leaves heartache in his wake. Patch soon discovers that the line between triumph and tragedy has never been finer, and that his act of bravery might just cost him everything. And that's it. And that is why I avoided this book for so long, and I only picked it up in paperback after reading an interview with the author in which the author said that the trauma of his youth, to survive the trauma of his youth, he decided to take his pain and turn it into fiction. And so that inspired me to read this book. And what I found was so much more than that 1-paragraph summary of the book, which doesn't even touch the surface of what this book is about. First of all, Patch was not my favorite character. There's another character in here named Saint, who was my favorite character, and who was also a hero. In fact, in many ways, more heroic than Patch. I didn't really like Patch. I didn't dislike him, I just didn't like him. It took me 4 days to read this. It is very long. It's a chunky monkey. And what I will say, though, is that there were short chapters, like 2 pages, 3 pages long, and it kept propelling me forward. And I wanted to know what happened next. There's a lot of little cliffhangers where you don't understand what's going to happen, or something happens, and then the next page picks up kind of like a TV series where they don't really address what happened before and immediately. But it all irons out in the end. I'm really happy that I read this. Highly recommend this book. Next up, since it was the 4th of July last week, I started reading Jaws. And I picked this up on a whim, probably because of something I saw on social media. And I had watched the 50th anniversary on TV when it came on, and I rewatched it, but we all know the story of Jaws, right? So I'm not going to read you the blurb about that. But what I will say is I've watched the movie twice now, since once when it came out for the 50th anniversary, and then again halfway through reading this. So, in his introduction, Peter Benchley says, in his intro to the, Peter Benchley says that one of the producers says, this picture is going to be an A to Z adventure story, a straight line, so we want you to take out all the romance stuff, all the mafia stuff, all the stuff that'll just be distracting. You who have never read Jaws, you who have only seen the movie, I can see you frowning. I can hear you saying to yourself, romance? Mafia? What's he talking about? Where's all that stuff? Read on, please, and discover for yourselves. And oh boy, did I. I now can look at Jaws the movie in a different way after knowing about the romance and the mafia. And I'm on the last chapter. So and some things have already played out very differently, romance and mafia aside, very differently from the movie. I am at the part where Quint and Hooper and Brody are in the boat, ship, whatever, and something happened that did not happen in the movie, and I was not expecting it. I can't wait to see how it ends, and I will let you know what I think about it in one of my thoughts on books that will probably air around the 16th of July or so on Shorts. Anywho, I am also listening to The Third Reich at War. I'll talk about that maybe next week. I've got chores to do. It's Sunday, and then I've got to pick out what I want to read next. Anywho, if you've stuck with me this long, and this has been very short, as always, thank you for sticking with me on my journey, and happy reading.